All right, we are live. I've got two of my favorite title people in the universe. Mary, is that feedback from you maybe? I wonder, do you have headphones?
I do not.
I feel like
I don't hear it.
Okay, maybe it's fine. I don't know. I just heard a little bit of feedback, but we'll roll with it.
Okay.
Okay. So I've got Natalie and Mary, and here's a little secret for you guys. I just interview really smart people so that I get smarter, like by osmosis. So looking forward to talking real estate, talking, from title companies' perspective, and then you got mortgage perspective and real estate agents' perspective, like all the madness that's going on, how we can help work together as a team, I think is a topic we'll definitely get into. But the cool part about these is we record them live. People are going to jump on and ask questions. If they aren't live and aren't asking questions, it's going to be, forever on YouTube for people to go back and look at all the knowledge that we can cram into 1 hour to bestow on folks for, the crazy real estate market 2021 that we're in.
Very exciting. Thank you so much for having us. You've made our heads this big now, Matt.
Yeah, you guys are the best of the best, so you better not disappoint. I think, first and foremost, maybe give us some input on how your office is operating in this crazy real estate environment. Because for me, it's like, I feel like tensions are kind of high. People are stressed out. It's hard to get offers accepted. And how is that, manifesting itself at Chicago Title in 2021?
Like you said, tensions are high. You just got, everybody's stressed, and let's be real, when you get on the phone with people who are stressed and you're dealing with money and these big financial decisions and all the moving parts, there's just a lot of emotion behind it to kind of navigate through. And I think we have to remind ourselves when we're having these conversations with buyers, sellers, agents, lenders, everybody's stressed. It's not personal. Let's try and figure out where it's coming from and address what's going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's already a stressful thing buying a house. Real estate that's a $500,000 purchase is usually most people's biggest purchase of their life. And you add onto that the complexity of, we had a pandemic. We're coming out of a pandemic. People are stressed out because of that. People are stressed out because there's not enough inventory for the people to go after. And
some of these buyers, they're writing 70, 80 offers and not getting into contract. It's so depleting and so stressful at the same time. They have housing needs, right? We have sellers who sold their house and now have this 29 rent day or rent back coming up, and they can't get into contract on anything. And nobody was anticipating that. So we're seeing a lot of that.
Right. Yeah. I talked to my team today, and I feel like I'm part counselor now, because I literally had 3 or 4 buyer consults that weren't the normal, hey, Matt, what does it look like at 550 with 5% down and at 600 with 10% down? It was, hey, Matt, I just got a few questions about the market. And people are in this, I don't know, in some of the consults I had, I felt like it was almost like a panic. And hey, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. I don't know what to believe. Is this true? Is that true? Should my agent be doing this? Why am I not getting this offer accepted? And I'm just trying to be the calm voice in all of it that says, listen, it's hard. I'm not going to tell you it's not hard, but it's possible. People are getting into contract every single day. The stuff that your agent is telling you is important, because day in, day out, they're talking to listing agents. They know what you need to do, how you need to write your offer, and all that stuff. I'm interested. A question just popped up, and that's why I love these things in my head, is how much fallout are you guys seeing? I thought to myself the other day that, one, I saw increased fallout from builders because of a tick up in rates. But I think what I've noticed in some buyers is some of them are feeling a little bit of this desperation or FOMO. And so they're putting in an offer because their agent's to get this house, it's got to be 430. It's got to be no appraisal contingency. Then they sit back and take a breath, and they're like, it's not even the school district I want to be in. That's not where I want to put my kids. So are you guys seeing more fallout than normal?
One would think that we would. I don't think we're seeing fallout, because what's happening is you've got buyers putting offers in on multiple properties, right? More in the pot, so better shot. and they get into contract on one, and then they get the call, oh, they got the one they really wanted. So we're seeing just a little bit of that, but it's not as high as one would think.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to delve into, and it's like, it's not us doing the stuff that might be gray area, so we can talk on it. But I like the kind of like behind the curtains of these lives.
Sure.
So let's talk about that real quick. If it's really hard to get an offer accepted, and you're putting in 10, 15, 20 offers not getting accepted, it's just, I realize why an agent or a buyer would be like, yeah, let's offer on this and this, and put this offer and this offer. So I think what you said is you're seeing that more than you normally would.
Yeah, you don't normally see that at all. It's obviously not the way that we're supposed to be doing things, but it's a reaction to what's going on out there. And these people who are going on months and 80 offers, it's like, forget it. Just whatever's listed. I mean, you see the memes on Facebook with the blank offer and just fill in like what your terms are. It's almost like that. You just send it out on whatever comes up.
Right. Whatever your seller wants, I'm ready. Just fill it in, and we're good to go. Yeah, and that's something that's interesting too, is that like in a market like this, you'll see things you've never seen before. People will get creative. As a lender, I'm seeing more and more for sale by owner. I was at my cousin's house. I talked to the neighbor over 6 Bud Lights. We realized like he's moving to Idaho and he'll take $525. And we'll just put the offer together, and I'll give him $525. I want it. I don't want to compete. So I would imagine you guys are seeing a lot of that too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What was it last week, Mary? We saw like 3 in one day, which is pretty. Yeah, that's high.
Right. Yeah, I told someone the other day. I said like in all of 2019, I might have done 3 or 4 for sale by owner, and then a couple weeks ago, in 1 week, I saw 3 or 4. I'm negotiating with the seller. Hey, I've got the neighbor of my cousin. Or, it's some sort of like creative direct to seller deal, which makes sense. If I've got the opportunity to go directly to a seller and work out a deal versus compete with 30 offers, then, here's a good question. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm like squirrel.
Oh, no,
See a squirrel.
Well, I wanted to touch a little bit on that FSBO piece because I was talking with an agent about that last week. And I kind of feel like consumers are doing this thing where it's like, hey, what do we need an agent for? Now, Mary and I and you could come up with a list as to why.
Right.
But in their mind, they're thinking, what do we need an agent for when I want to sell? You could, throw a rock and hit a buyer. That's it. That's really all we use an agent for, is to find a buyer, right? So that's all we need it. So interesting mindset around what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And that could be a whole other segment on why you don't. I had a family member tell me like, oh, it's so easy. I'll just sell it. Or they're like, I'll just have you help, Matt. I'm like, Matt, the mortgage guy, is really busy with mortgage. I held my real estate license. I'm not selling families' houses for free. I'm sorry. Right, the mortgage guy, not the real estate guy. But then, like, there's just so much stuff that goes into it. Having people in and out of your house, writing the contract so that you're covered, all that other stuff. I've got some title questions, so hopefully people start firing some title questions at you. Kyle from Win the House You Love. This is one of my favorite dudes on YouTube. He has a great channel. Lender out of Ohio. Could you please give an example of how useful owner's title insurance is?
I just had something happen last week, and I said, this is terrible, and this is the story I'm going to start using to tell people why you need it. We had a deal close. I don't know all the details surrounding what's going to happen yet, but long story short, the buyer from 2015 is in contract to sell their property. And the lender for the seller's equity line that we paid off never released their lien, and the seller's using the equity line. There's a reason for title insurance right there. I mean, those buyers, if they had opted out of title insurance, they'd be stuck. Right. They'd have this lien on there that they'd have to deal with, and because of title insurance, their investment's protected. And they can move forward, and we'll deal with the title claim on the title side. But yeah,
for sure. Give us for everybody who's watching, who's like, what is even title insurance? Give us the 30-second like rundown and simplified 5th grade terms. Like, what is title insurance?
So title insurance protects your interest in the property. So you're going to spend, $500,000. You want to know that somebody's not going to knock on the door in a month and say, this is my grandma's house and my cousin didn't tell me they were selling it and I have rights to this property. So it protects your rights.
Right. Yeah. And if I'm living in a house and somebody comes and puts a mechanic's lien and says, hey, I did an $11,000 roof and never got paid by the past seller, I go to you, who I, held title or did the escrow process, and say, hey, what happened? Oh, no, you had title insurance. We take care of that. Good to go.
Yep.
Right.
Cool.
We search the records to make sure that we're conveying to the buyer a free and clear title, other than obviously their new loan. But things happen. I mean, things get missed, mistakes get made. In this case, I'm not even really sure if the seller called the bank or what happened in that situation. But I mean, without title insurance, these buyers may not have been able to even sell their home.
Yeah, that's wild. And the crazy part is, on my disclosures, it says title insurance optional. Is it optional in California, or is it required? It is optional.
Technically, it's optional.
Okay.
Technically.
Yep.
Never, ever. Just like
please don't ever use the optional. Don't waive it. I always
So
tell
is
people,
wearing a seatbelt, right?
yeah,
Right.
I mean,
or letting your 16-year-old drive with no car insurance, like
It's optional.
yeah, right, optional. Yeah.
that's what I say, you don't
no
need
car
insurance unless you don't
probably
have it. But God, no, please don't waive it. The lender's policy goes up when you waive it. Then you enter into a whole world of, there's a fee difference. It's more expensive. A lot of lenders won't allow you to not have title insurance. And at the end of the day, you want it. Trust me.
I mean, it's a one-time charge for the life that you're for the whole duration that you're living at the property.
Yeah, the entire time you
own the
own.
property. Mm-hmm.
I put this question up, and before I even had the question up, you answered it. How long does title insurance policy last? Forever. Forever, ever?
Forever.
Okay,
Yeah.
forever. This is a question from Practical Personal Finance. I think this is my buddy who's down in Puerto Rico. How often do issues with title come up that blow up a deal? It's a good one.
It's not very often.
Honestly, more often than you'd think.
Oh, is it? Okay. I'm over here in sales.
Natalie.
Not too
Mary's
much.
like, I'm in the trenches.
You'll be fine. You're fine.
And I guess might blow up. It may be a stall or a delay, but a lot of times where we find the problems is if we don't have a pre-opened escrow and we get into contract and then surprise, there's all this stuff on title that people didn't know about. I had a deal a few years ago. It was an investor, and he walks in with this guy who's going to sell his mom's house. And the story they tell me is, hey, we're going to go into contract on this. I'm the executor for my mom's house, and I'm selling to your investor, and we're going to close in 5 days. Long story short, that's not what happened. It took me 2 years to close that escrow. And it's all because they thought something was what it wasn't. So I think that's where we get the most, and that's why we are huge proponents of let's pre-open the escrow, let's look at the title and make sure that everything we think we know.
So with that being said, Mary, as long as we can see an escrow or a prelim prior to maybe getting into contract, from there, how often does a deal blow up at that point? I mean, now
from
that
there, they don't happen. Yeah, from there, as long as we've got a clear roadmap, they generally don't. Things that do happen that blow up are spousal deeds. Sometimes the buyer's in the middle of a nasty divorce, and one of the spouses is like, "I'm going to hold this over your head and not sign this." So we try and address that stuff early on in the transaction before the emotions get really high. Matt, you can speak to buyers going out and renting an apartment or buying a car or things like that kind of blow up. But for the most part, if we've got that clear roadmap, we're good.
Right. What are the most typical title issues that you see? Did we answer that?
Trust. That's one of my favorites is old deeds of trust. That's a very common title issue. What people don't realize sometimes, and I've run into it with sellers where they're like, oh no, my dad paid those off. We don't owe that. And I'm like, yeah, but the lien's still a record and we have to deal with that. So that's probably the biggest one. Other big title issue is an uninsured deed, which is where two people just go and sign, like I am going to grant my house to Natalie. I go record the deed. Natalie goes to sell the house and the title company's like, yeah, I see that you did this deed, but because it was uninsured, we can't verify the signer. We can't verify the identity. They ask for an affidavit. So sometimes it's kind of tracking some people down.
Yeah, I think I had that happen once. We had to track somebody to like another
Yeah.
country and be like, oh yeah, it's like, it's legit. It's totally legit. It's from 12 years ago, but now he lives in South Africa or something. So
Right.
that,
It's from 12 years ago, and I just recorded it last week. So everything is fine. It's all good.
I mean, it was in his drawer. We were going to do it. Yeah. I mean,
I found this thing and I recorded it.
I mean, I can't talk to, because I've got stuff that's like on my to-do list that I haven't got to. Making sure everything's in the family trust. I'm going to do it. I promise. Soon. This is a good question from Kyle as well. How are title companies different from each other? Because this is a question I honestly get too. And people, when they get their initial disclosures and they're buying a house, it says like stuff you can shop for, even though I know, and I kind of convey, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the seller picks the title company. Most title companies are going to be in the same range. The good news for us in Northern California is I tell people, like, they picked a Northern California title company. Always going to be cheaper than a Southern California title company, which for whatever reason, it costs double for the same title services when you're in Southern California. But I guess to address Kyle's question, what do you guys say to how they differ?
Well, I would say that here in Northern California, the difference is I wouldn't hold that to the costs. We have to report our fees to the Department of Insurance, and they're off by just a smidgen. I think for us, what I would say the difference is obviously the service levels and the systems and the technology. And I would say you want to choose and get to know the people that you're working with at your title company. Your title company just shouldn't just be like, the random guy that you pick up and, work with every once in a while. You should really know them. I think the relationship really matters too. So I would say that, when you say service and speed, those are probably where you're going to want to do a lot of your banking. Mary, wouldn't you say? I mean, that's especially right now.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's really having that relationship. It comes down to the people. It comes down to your partnership. It comes down to the team. That's really where you're going to see the biggest difference in the level of service. Like Nat said, it's really not about the fees. We're all pretty competitively priced, and it's all regulated by the Department of Insurance. So it does come down to who you work with matters. And it's those relationships. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of similar to somebody asked me about working with me versus another broker. I feel like I've put together a team that works really well together, and we work hard to serve clients at a high level, even though the broker down the street can get you the exact same deal. I feel like we serve at a higher level. And you guys, I mean, I can attest to it. Amazing team. Everybody who's on the team. I know that if I send something to Mary Frances' team, I'm getting a response from somebody, and it's coming fast.
Yes.
Yep.
And the experience matters too. And that's the thing. You mentioned creativity earlier. Mary's been doing this for a while. We both have been doing this for a while. And it's kind of cool because, you might experience from some title companies a hard no, can't, whatever. With Mary or maybe some other escrow officers out there, once you have that relationship built, and especially somebody with experience, they might be able to find ways to get the deal done the way you need it done and to be compliant and all the boxes checked. So, that experience piece is really important too. So
what you're saying is you've seen a thing or two, so you know a thing or two.
Yeah.
Whatever insurance, that's like the most, I use that line all the time. It's some insurance commercial, but I tell people that, like, as a mortgage broker who does a lot of mortgages, like, I've seen a thing or two, so I know a thing or two. And it might be that like your neighbor or your cousin does mortgage as well, and they're a really nice person. And I agree with you that they're a nice person. They just haven't seen as many things to know as many things.
Plus, they don't have fabulous red hair. So what are you going to do?
The red hair is extra bright today. Thanks for bringing the extra bright hair, Mary.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Sorry, Andrew. I was thinking of mortgage guy in Puerto Rico, but you're the personal finance guy in Nova. So thanks for joining, brother. This is a good question. Al wants to know what roles you guys play in title.
Oh, okay. I like it. Natalie's the loan originator and Mary's the underwriter.
That analogy.
Oh, you hit it on the head. So I'm the sales executive. I'm here to, provide our services and our tools to consumers, to agents, to lenders, and to really introduce them to Mary. But, we all bow and kiss the ground that Mary walks on. She is the one that gets the things done.
In the trenches every day.
In the trenches.
In the
every day.
trenches. That I will agree with.
This one hopefully doesn't get us in trouble. Should SoCal sellers and buyers use NorCal title if price is so different?
All I can say is what you already touched on, Matt. SoCal is more expensive. I think it depends on where your property location is, your timelines. But yeah, I mean, Northern California, because of the title and the escrow, is one. Whereas in SoCal, you've got your title company and your escrow company. They're two separate. That's, I think, what helps drive those fees up. We're able to keep them lower by being title and escrow one and the same. It's crazy how different the two sides of California are, and we're the same state. It just, it's always blown my mind.
Yeah, I've always been.
So to be clear, Mary can close escrows in Southern California. Okay, I just had to do that sales pitch thing really quick. That's all I got.
Deals are coming in from I mean, deals are coming in for me from all over California, and all the refinance that's coming to Chicago title. And, it's kind of like working with a loan originator from Sacramento when you're in San Diego. If, I can serve you at a high level, we don't need to, sit across the desk and chat. We're just going to get the deal done. So that's cool. Yeah. I mean, for me, I brought that up because I've got templates after I've done a bazillion loans. I just know titles about this. And then I get a purchase that's in Los Angeles County. And I'm like, why in the world is it $2,700 more expensive? All right. We won't beat up on SoCal title. I'm gonna get some hate mail for sure. It's all right. Got good intentions. I'm a nice guy. Trust me. What makes one title person faster than another? I can speak to that. Some people, Al, are smarter than other people. No, I'm sorry. I think that it's just like any other business. If you've got systems in place and you've got good people with really defined, like this is Mary's lane, this is John's lane, this is Susan's lane, and they're doing things and they've got like really detailed systems and work well together, it just makes for really good, fast service. I mean, I can tell you from experience that I've worked with title companies, great people, great title agents. If that title agent goes on vacation, we're effed. We're just completely effed.
Right.
Mary, as great as she is, if she goes on vacation, she's got a great team. And so things don't fall apart. Don't ever go on vacation, Mary, at least for the next 10 years. But if you do, we'll be all right.
You guys will be fine.
Everyone will be fine.
You better people.
I mean, you're allowed to have like one Saturday a month or something. One Saturday a month, just treat yourself.
Maybe.
Sorry.
This one might. Oh yeah, he's excited. He wants to be on YouTube Live.
He's a horse, is what he is.
He is a horse. There we go. Okay, sorry about that.
I see videos about junk fees from title. What are they talking about?
Okay, so junk fees. It used to be, before we changed over from the HUD to the CD, there used to be things like, and there's still some of them that are considered junk fees, but like courier, overnight, wire charges. With the CD that came out, all of the title companies were forced to have to bundle that stuff into one escrow fee just for disclosure purposes. The junk fees of today's world are, for us, it's called a new loan service fee, and it's not a junk fee in my opinion. It's the cost of the additional work that goes into running an escrow with a loan. So when you have your escrow fee, it's for a cash purchase. That's the posted rate. So there's an additional new loan service charge that gets added. It is an escrow fee, and it's for the additional work charges. But some people do consider that a junk fee. Some people consider notary fees junk fees. The notary fees, a lot of people don't know. It's actually a RESPA violation to waive them or reduce them. We have to charge. So with the CD and the removal of the HUD, it really forced title companies to hone in on the fees and limit the amount of fees that can be charged in certain circumstances so that we can make sure we were staying compliant and disclosing our fees from the beginning.
Right, because it used to be, I remember title companies would just throw extra fees in or pad extra fees just to play it safe in case the payoff was short, in case the notary charged too much. So that's not allowed to do, and we can't do that. And I'm glad. I think that's good.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything that helps the consumer. And it's like with title, with lending, with everything, like after everything we've been through, the consumer is in a really good spot in 2021. I tell people this all the time. Like we've got so much regulation to make sure that the consumer gets a fair shake. There's not, extra fees added and stuff hidden in fine print. Like you've got to be super straightforward and transparent on the title side, on the lending side, real estate side, and all of it so that the consumer, no repeats of 2008 and things.
Everybody gets charged the same across the board. There's no and that's the thing too, is, there used to be a habit or a thought, or a way of doing business where we're like, oh, call the title company and get your escrow fee reduced. Call your title company and get a discount on the owner's policy or whatever. See if they can cut their fees. So it's now it's an even playing field for everybody across the board. So, just because somebody utilizes a certain title company doesn't mean that one person's going to get a cut on escrow fees versus another consumer too. So it's definitely made it fair.
Yeah. That was one of my things that I thought about. So I hate to go back to SoCal title companies being more expensive, but I'm like, is there some kickback involved where somebody's like, because I mean, if I was an agent, I would avoid having my clients pay extra. I don't know. I've beat that dead horse enough. Onto much more important things. Kyle from Win the House You Love said, oh, no. Where'd the last one go? Unrelated, but I love the jacket, Natalie. He just wanted to compliment your jacket. Crushing it with that jacket.
I had to keep it profesh.
Okay, from a title perspective, and be nice. Don't berate me. What qualities do good agents and lenders have? So, like a perfect lender,
obviously,
and a perfect agent. What makes your guys' job easy? Because I know, this is something that anybody who deals with other professionals in transaction is going to be like, here's the exact type of agent I'm looking for. Maybe start with.
Before Mary answers that question, hold on, Mary. Before you answer that question, I just want to say that this question is like the equivalent of a fresh, juicy, meaty rib that Mary and I bite into at least twice a week in our conversation. So I just want to say, Win the House You Love, sir, thank you for this question. We've been waiting to have this question asked.
Man, I've got like a bullet pointed list that I keep that I've been storing for years. I could share that one day. Ultimately, it's communication. And I know that sounds so like, oh, you don't need this special superpower to be an amazing agent or lender. And you don't. You got to have your skills, but it's communication. It's the team you put in place. It's making sure that you're providing your client everything that they need to know, and then you're turning around and looping in your title partner to do the same. That's where I can honestly say, and this is why Natalie and I have this conversation so often, and it's usually with me calling so frustrated because
there's a few cuss words involved in these.
Be careful. But it's just like, it's so simple to tell your buyer, congratulations, you bought the house. Here's what's going to happen next. You're going to need to get an EMD for $3,000 to Chicago Title Company. I've given Mary your email and your phone number. She's going to reach out to give you some other information. So look out for that. It changes the entire dynamic of the transaction. You've introduced, right? I get calls from
your team. And it needs to come from the person that was hired.
Yes.
See, and this is where Mary and I are like, because these simple things will actually lead to more referral business. They want to, it's like when you're taking your child to the babysitter, for example, you don't just open the car door and say, okay, go on. No, you take them up there, you talk to the babysitter for the first time, you make it comfortable. It's just creates a better experience right there from the get. Mm-hmm. Huge thing.
All right, this is Mary. She's going to be your babysitter until we get to the closing line. That's
right. Yep. And then they know who I am. They'll respond to me, but nothing will set me off worse than like buyers calling me going, I've been waiting for you to call me and it's been 3 days. And I'm like, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I've been waiting for your contact information from your realtor for 3 days. So communication, it's just that it makes everything so much easier.
Because Mary will take, she's smart. I don't mean to toot her own horn over here, but you give her a name and a phone number, she knows what to do with it. There's not a lot of hand-holding that has to happen, but she does need a few bits of information. And it's always better too. Hey, loop us in. Tell us, like, are these over analytical clients? Are these, first-time home buyers? Give us a little bit of insight so that we want to be on your same page. The deal is that we don't make our money until the escrow closes. Okay. Just like everybody else in the transaction. So at the end of the day, we all want to be in sync with each other so that you get more referral business and then we can work with you again. And if it doesn't seem smooth and cohesive and as a unit, as a team, that's where the fingers start getting pointed. And then it's like, once you have that negative juju, it's really hard to get rid of it at that point.
Yeah, it snowballs.
Yeah. You said something that I literally say in as many realtor meetings as I can. If lender, realtor, title, anybody who's involved works together to create a really good experience, that client is more likely to refer all of us. And like you said, you'll see examples where you're like, okay, a realtor just does the bare minimum. Clients kind of just fumbling around and make his way to the finish line. No wonder why you do 12 deals every year for your whole 20-year career. And it's not 12, then 26, then 35, then 42. Because if you do a great job, and I want us all to do a great job so that Chicago Title gets more business, Susie, the realtor, gets more business, Matt, the mortgage guy, gets more business. And it's that easy. Like I don't know how many times I've said that in meetings where I'm just like, listen, like, we're all adults. We all have the same goal, get buyer and seller to the finish line, a good experience where they want to tell their neighbors, their cousin, and their friends and their coworkers. They want to tell them all, I worked with Susie, the realtor, Matt, the mortgage guy, in Chicago Title. It was a great experience. Yeah. That person uses everybody and it's a win-win-win. But for whatever reason, sometimes there's just not all the boxes being checked. So we'll do our part to just, bestow that education upon the people.
Education.
Yeah. Kyle's got another good question because as a lender, he's got all the same questions that I get, right? Where it's just like they look at the loan estimate and they're like, hey,
why are we being charged?
I see owner's insurance and I see lender's title insurance. Like, why do I got to pay for both?
Yeah.
Well, it's really right there in it. We have to insure the lender. And then we want you to be protected. So if all we do is issue a lender's policy, the lender is covered against a loss if something happens to the property, but you aren't. So we want to make sure that both entities are protected. So the lender is not going to close without an owner's policy because they know how important title insurance is. So lender's policy is for the lenders securing the loan for you, and then you got your owner's title, which is going to protect your interest in the property for as long as you own it.
And Matt, I have a comparison chart for you that covers that. I can send it to you so you can just laminate it, have it ready really quick in case somebody asks. Yeah.
There's always so many questions too, and people are like, why does a lender want this and why does the lender want that? And then when you break it down, you're like, okay, you're buying something that cost $500,000. You're in $25,000. The lender's in $475,000. Do you think they want to dot their I's and cross their T's and have some insurances?
Yeah.
They're literally like 19x what you have
a
into
little
it.
invested in it. Yeah.
I've got a few questions that I started to write down because I always think about the stuff like why I got the pros on the line. You talked about
I'm sorry, Matt, I want to say if there's agents watching here too, it's good for them to know this stuff as they're reading the net sheet and explaining it to their client as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Right. Yeah. Because that can be super helpful when an agent is kind of partnered with a lender and like, oh, this is that. Where it becomes less than helpful is when an agent totally guesses or makes something up or says something completely wrong about this is how a mortgage works or, this is how title works. So, I don't want to throw agents under the bus. A lot of great agents understand how all of it works, and they're good at explaining it, at least like the bare minimum. I try to do what I kind of would like from title and agent, where I'm like, hey, listen, here's my understanding of it. If you really want to make sure, go ahead and contact title. or, they have an appraisal question or something, your agent's the one that you really want to ask that question to, but here's my understanding of it. Just because it's ultimately like day in, day out, all I do is mortgage. I know mortgage really well. I'm probably the one you want to bring the mortgage questions to. Real estate agent who all day, every day, realtor meetings and transactions, and they know they're up to date with any changes with CAR. They're the one to ask. So yeah, rant over there. The question I wrote down was when you talked about communication and doing things good as an agent, I heard the word in something about pre-escrow. So what can somebody do? I want to sell an investment property a month from now, and maybe some of the stuff that you guys talked about where who knows what could show up on title, what could or should a prospective seller or their agent be doing with title before they're even listing a property?
Get us the listing agreement, get us the address. If you don't have the listing agreement yet, that's fine. Ultimately, what we want to do is run the title report and get back a picture, basically, of the health of the property. And then we can tell you, oh, there's this old lien on here, or this has hit, or there's a code violation. What do we know about this? And try and get ahead of anything that may hold up a closing before we're in contract. Because the worst time to find out that you have a 60-day problem is when you're in a 21-day contract and you just found out. So the pre-escrow is super important to make sure that we're checking the health and are ready to move forward when you are.
We can also pull property profiles, and we've got our customer service department too. So let's say you're kind of still iffy on if you're going to get the listing. We've helped agents get listings by providing them some preliminary information. I'm not going to say a preliminary report. We only open the preliminary report once we know that listing is going to come or they have the listing of it. But we can do what's called a property profile. And then we can also contact our customer service department for some information as well that the agent can use to go back to their client with and kind of let them know, like Mary said, paint this picture so that they kind of have an idea on what would be needed and what steps would be next.
Okay. This is probably a good transition because you mentioned it too. I know a good title team like you guys have at Chicago Title is like super vital and super beneficial for a real estate agent. So maybe just like a 2-minute plug on things that you guys can do. And it can be anything with agents, whether it's help them with, find buyers, help them find sellers. What are some things that you guys are doing to help agents in this crazy market? And maybe start with seller stuff, because I feel like all the frustration me and my buyers have, because I'm as a loan officer, I'm only working with buyers. I'm not dealing with sellers. As far as like client wise, I need more inventory. How do we all help agents get more homes on the market?
Yes, I know. It's well, so of course, a lot of title companies have farming tools. A lot of title companies have websites and stuff to pull addresses. We have one called Active Farm. And what it does is it measures a couple of things, like, what the turnover ratio is in that area, who are out-of-state owners, who are absentee owners. It breaks down what's called the micro farms inside that particular program. In addition to that, it also offers the gold farm, which is our next sellers. And so if you meet with me as I'm out there talking with agents and meeting with them one-on-one, we strategize ways to really get in front of those who are most likely to reciprocate the actions that you're taking to get in front of them. And everything that I'm hearing from coaches, from, real estate gurus, it's like, just get the word out there. I think people see their CNN pop up on, their phone that says low inventory. I don't think they quite understand what that means for them as a homeowner and how that translates to the value of their home. So when we talk about our tools and stuff, one of the other tools that we love is our Chicago Agent One app for net sheets. And one in particular especially helps calculate multiple offers and lines them up side by side too. So you can utilize that net sheet app for free. You can work with me and get a farm list for free. And from there, you can just start spreading the news. I mean, that's really, it's so funny because it comes back down to communication, right?
Right.
It always comes back down to communication. So be the ambassador in your area of what's going on in the market. And I think, as the vaccines are coming out, as more people are getting vaccinated, as things are starting to open up, I'm hoping that we can all work together. And then we've got these rates that have a teeny tiny tick up. And this is where I would let Matt, the mortgage guy, talk. But this is where maybe we would see less of an influx of buyers and maybe sellers now kind of saying, okay, I'm okay with letting people walk through my house. I feel like the opportunity for me to find my dream home has opened up a little bit, because as that inventory opens up, then more sellers are going to be more prone to wanting to put their house on the market, because now they know they can get into the home they need to get into, because it's all cyclical. So I think it's just a matter of communication, getting them word out there.
Right. Yeah. That's what my best advice to new loan officers is, like, don't be an undercover loan officer. So it's the same for realtors. Don't be undercover.
Yeah.
All the information you can get for free from Chicago, share it, preach about it, talk about it. It's a good point you made too. I think that there are some people that are kind of like locked in, where it's like, I would sell, and I understand that I can get a premium for this. I'd love to, because then I could pay off some credit cards and then use the rest of it as a down payment on this other house in the neighborhood I really want to live, the neighborhood I want to retire in. But if it's near impossible to like get the timing right just because of such low inventory, then people are just like, I'll just wait, right? As soon as that loosens up a little bit, this is just my hope. I'm just speaking this stuff into existence, right? If I say it for long enough and I just have a good attitude.
That's the secret, Matt. That's
the secret.
It's the secret.
This Kyle is talking about, I need to have you on my stream too. And Matt, I need you all on my stream. Kyle is an amazing YouTuber, and he's got like a huge following, all these people that love him. So whatever they say, Kyle, I'm going to use whatever bribery I have to like get him on. Like within a month or so, I'll have him on. If I got to promise him 300 deals this year, I'll just have to work that much harder and get 300 deals over Chicago Title. But it's going to happen, Kyle. I got you. I got your back. You guys don't have to say anything. It's just a done deal.
Matt, I wanted to touch on that really quick because, and I'm sorry, I know you have another question that popped up, but so one of the things that we can help with too, and I know you could do this too, and so I'd like to hear your input on this is, finding those off-market properties, farming to potential sellers, letting them know that we have multiple buyers who are interested in homes in that particular neighborhood, and using that as an incentive to get some people to open up and say, hey, look, if I could get top dollar for my house today, maybe I would be willing to sell to this person, because then in my case, I would go find a property in the way that I just was able to sell mine. So I just wanted to put that out there. If you as a lender, when you partner with agents, that could be a way that you guys could do some marketing together too. Yeah.
And I think go ahead.
Are you seeing more off-market deals on your end?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're seeing more of just direct where it hasn't hit the MLS. It doesn't even hit the market. So I imagine you're probably seeing the same.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I probably have more working now than I did in all of, last year, like 5 or 6
crazy,
people.
Right?
That is
put
crazy. Things
together. But, to your point too, Natalie, I think that people who are involved in real estate take for granted like the information. They just think like, oh yeah, everybody knows this. Everybody knows that there's low inventory and you can get a high price for your house, and everybody knows that rates are low, because I'm in mortgage. It surprises me still to this day that I'll talk to somebody that like, I had no idea rates are near 3%. I've been paying this 5.25% since 2008. Like, oh my gosh, how can somebody not know? But it's the same thing for real estate agents, where if you told somebody, did you know that your neighbor's house that's smaller sold for $525? I've talked to people on the phone too, and like we're talking refinance. What do you think your house is worth? And they're like, I don't know. I paid $380, so it's probably worth like $425. And they bought it 6 years ago. And I'm like, your house is worth mid 600s. And they're like,
above them.
Oh my gosh, it's worth that. And I'm like, if these people knew, I mean, who knows? Maybe they have a plan where like Ohio is a great place to live. I don't know, Kyle, you can chime in if Ohio is a great place to live. But, Maybe they want to sell, realize that 250,000 in equity, and then just go out and buy something cash.
Yeah, they're all cancel the refi, Matt. We're listing.
Well,
We're selling now.
It's just one of those things where the best way to get business is to educate and get out there and add value to people. And in this specific climate we're in, it's like sellers, if they knew what we know, like you said, Natalie, if you can like educate sellers on inventory and what their house might be worth, then it might like just spark, okay, this is what I've wanted to do or plan to do, and I can do it if I can get that much for my house. That's some of the stuff that I think hopefully is going on, because then we'll see a little bit of loosening up of the wildness we got right here. I'm going to answer this question. I don't know. Do you guys see anything on your side as far as like working with banks versus a mortgage broker?
I would say you get less personalized service through just a bank. You're just kind of a number. I see those, some of them take forever. People don't know what's going on. As versus broker, you've got, I mean, case in point, Matt here. I mean, you've got somebody who's constantly keeping an eye on the market and keeping in touch with what's going on and has a real read on it. In addition, can go shopping for the best possible rate on any given day. So that's just my perspective from how I see things when we're dealing with a bank lender refi or purchase versus the broker side. And the borrowers or the buyers are usually way more informed on the broker side as to what they're expecting and their closing costs. We get a lot more surprises with just banks.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I talk to people too, where I'm like, I don't want to tear other buildings down so that mine looks the tallest, but because there's a certain demographic where, if they want to go in and sit in an office 3 times a week for an hour, and they really like that their accounts have been at Bank of America for 17 or 27 or 37 years, and they want that same, like, I'll tell those buyers, if you're comfortable with Bank of America, but just know that like their process is a little bit lengthier. And like you said, it's more of like a corporate structure where, people who do mortgage, especially mortgage brokers, like all day, every day, all we do. The best wholesale lenders have built the best mousetraps for closing loans in under 20 days. And the banks just operate differently. They've got, a corporate underwriter who's in another state, and they got to send it to them. And 2.5 weeks later, Sally Joe from Alabama is going to have your file underwritten. And then it comes back to, the call center here. And, you're going to call a bank at 5:06 and you can't get to that person that you're trying to talk to. I probably don't say this as often as I used to, because my business is more matured and I've got a team who can help me out. But I used to tell people, like, if you've got an appraisal that comes in at 7:45 and you're worried about it because it came in at a price lower than you're in contract for, 100% you're going to get the answering machine with the big bank.
Wow.
With me, I'll answer my phone while I'm giving my kids a bath. I'm taking back that comment that I made in 2015. I'm not answering my phone anymore. And I'm not giving my kids baths anymore, 12 and 8. They're too big for that. Yeah. Oh, that one got off the rails. But yeah, awesome. All day broker is the short answer to your question. Like, what there's somebody's thing that says like faster, easier, cheaper, something like that. Like, that's generally the truth. There's a few niches where I've got banker buddies where I'll send construction loans because they've got a construction product, or I'll send certain stuff to them. But majority of FHA, VA, conventional, USDA buyers, you just want to work with a broker. They're just faster, better, cheaper. Oh, Kyle, we were talking about Ohio. He said there's better options than Ohio. Oh. If you want to sell your house and you're in California and you're going to realize a lot of equity, there might be other places besides Ohio.
Idaho, maybe?
Idaho?
Everyone. Popular right now.
You want to talk about trends. It's a trend that I've seen a lot lately. And for me, I've got like more business than I know what to do with in California. But like a lot of lenders I like and respect, direct lenders from different companies here in California, are getting licensed in Idaho, Texas, Arizona, Tennessee. Like, those are the hot states.
That
where
makes so much sense because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of Californians are like migrating to that area
Right.
too. I mean,
Yeah. And I mean, kudos to those loan officers that are doing that because I probably talk to a dozen people a month, and I've got broker buddies in other states that I can refer to, and I just gladly do it. I might be at a conference one time and somebody might buy me a steak or something because I can't reserve referral fees. I know I can't get them.
someone might buy me a steak.
We just give them the means of play.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll work for food.
D. Marzilli, we haven't heard from yet, but he just said Idaho is full.
Stop coming here.
I think Texas has already cut off Californians, so now it's official. Idaho's
It's
off as
official. You
well.
heard it here first.
Yes, right. You heard it here
full.
first. No more Californians. Some of us are all right.
Oh, that's good.
All right. Al wants to know how often you see title claims and which are the ones that are most often paid out. Hopefully you pay them all out.
It depends. There's a lot that goes into the claims process. I mean, that could be a whole other topic of conversation. We don't see claims a lot. We see them enough to be cautious and be able to share some of the horror stories as to why you want to have it. I've always said the only time you don't need insurance, or the only time you need insurance is when you don't have it. And it's true to this point here. It's the same story. The majority of the claims, it all depends on what the claim is for and who it's coming from and the whys. There's attorneys that look into it. Our escrow files get torn apart into a million pieces to figure out all the things that took place to get us to this spot. And then it's determined what we will do. So they are all dealt with. The attorneys look at every single one of the title claims. We have a whole department that does that for all 50 states that we're licensed in for all of our brands. But yeah, I don't personally see a lot of title claims. Not that we're perfect by any means, but I mean, my team and I work really hard to make sure that we're paying attention and we're getting things done proactively. We're staying ahead of it to be able to avoid problems at the end. I mean, the last thing you want is a title claim issue, or, you know, it's Sunday afternoon and the grandkid knocks on your door and is like, why are you living in my grandma's house? That's like a stomach gut punch that what do you do? So yeah, like I said, there's not a ton of them, but we really try and stay in front of it and pay attention and avoid those things for you in the future. And then we want to ensure you that we did that by giving you the owner's policy.
Good idea. Another question I wrote down because I'm curious. You guys are still at home, right?
Some of
We
us,
both
yeah.
are right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, right now, I've been in the office every day since probably into April again.
Okay. So you guys are only out of the office for like a month or so, but close to the public.
Right. We are still close to the public. We still have several people working remote. We're not by any means back to fully staffed in the branches. I still spend some time at home working remote when it makes sense. But yeah, and sales, Natalie, she's majority at home. She comes into the office here and there, but we have
just
people in the
to
branches.
bring them food and harass them, you know.
We work for food too, Matt.
Yeah. And because that's a question I get too, is that, you know, I had a client recently that was just like, I've got to pay this mobile notary fee. All my last transactions I've gone to the title company. It's like, obviously there's nothing that can be done from a corporate level. You know, businesses are saying it's safer for us to send mobile notaries to you. What do you guys see in the future as far as opening title offices up? Is there a plan, a reopen title?
We have not. It hasn't been discussed at this point. I think there's just still a lot of unknowns in regards to the whole COVID and the infection and the sanitization and everything else that goes along with it. We are using the mobile notaries, like you said, Matt, and ultimately our offices are going to stay closed until we know that we can keep our people safe. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, nobody in my office, nobody on my team has been sick. we haven't had to lose anybody, and we've been able to stay safe and healthy to be here and still get the deals closed, that's our priority. So will we reopen? I'm sure that we will. When that will happen, I don't know. Mobile notaries will be used until then. I know there's a lot of people who are like, I always come into the title office, and one of the conversations I have with a lot of people is, even in the title office, though, you pay a notary fee, and it's really not that much higher than it is to have the notary come out to you. And I think when people understand that, they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I'm like, and I'm right here. You can call me. We can do video chats. We'll talk on the phone. We'll get through and answer all the questions. You're not getting a lesser service. It's just different. We've all had to change the way that business is done.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is like all my job can be done remote. And I've done Zoom calls. I've done Loom video that I send to the clients. I've probably met with 3 or 4 people in the last 12 months in my office, but business has not slowed down. There's been no, issues. I've got 8 or 10 people that come into my office and drop off docs or whatnot.
Right.
Did you get the call for dinner, Natalie? Is it dinner time?
I got my husband works night, so he's like, I gotta go. And so the kids are like, Mom. Luckily for them, the window is right here, because I would have it shut and be like, you will be fine.
Mom's working.
Yeah, this is why there's an 8-year gap between the two of us.
If anybody has any questions, put them in there now. This video will be, on YouTube. And so if any questions come in that we can ask of you guys later, I'll forward those to you guys. And we're going to be on Win the House You Love, all 3 of us, sometime in April. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yay.
I've already RSVP'd for you guys. It's going to be a good time. Kyle's got a bunch of great followers. And I mean, I appreciate the heck out of you guys spending an hour with me, because
thank you so much.
Thank you. I know we're honored to be chosen to be with you and come on here. It's like it's just fun. You're fun. So thank you.
We're trying to have fun. I think that's like ultimately like my goal with my team and all my clients and all my transactions is like, if we're going to do this highly stressful at times real estate business, let's do it with people we like. Let's do it in a way where we're all having fun, because like we've beat this dead horse enough, but like we all have the same goal. The agent, the title company, the lender, like, let's get to the finish line. Let's make it an experience that, at the very least, the client isn't pulling their hair out and crying at the signing, because
and saying title said or lender said, and title said the lender said. Yes. Yeah,
I'm going to knock on wood, because I have had amazing clients. I've had clean escrows. Of course, there's always
that's a testament to you, though, Matt.
Hopefully, I mean, more than anything,
it's you and your team.
Yeah, and I emphasize the team part, because really, like, all the mechanics of loans and all the things that are really the backbone of my business are all controlled by my great team. And I just fortunately have the gift of gab, where I like talking to people, and I like, schmoozing real estate agents, helping getting offers accepted, talking to clients about how to structure their deal, and the math nerd of me gets to come out in that. So it's been a fun ride and a good build, because thankfully all the attention to detail and mechanics part that my team is much better than I am at. They like doing that stuff. And so they like doing that. They're good at it. They serve people at a high level. I like just the math nerding out on scenarios and schmoozing real estate agents. So yeah, it all works.
The passion is coming through for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And obviously we'll be chatting soon, because I've got a dozen or 2 dozen escrows over there at Chicago Title. So no vacations, Mary. You guys stay on it.
Call me if you need to vent too, guys. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.